Well, friends, as you already know, selling price is equal to cost plus profit. Cost is further classified into materials, wages, and expenses. These basic elements of costs are further classified into direct and indirect costs. Please see this chart. The basic elements of cost are material, wages, and expenses. The sub-elements are direct material, indirect material, direct wages, indirect wages, direct expenses, indirect expenses. The aggregate of direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses is called prime cost. The first sub-element of prime cost is direct material. Let us learn more about it from Mr. Milind Date.
Direct material cost. Let's talk something about direct material cost. Here, the point of reference is obviously production of a product. What is a product? It is something physical being of an item. Now, when we talk of product as a physical being, it obviously needs something to be converted from one form to the other. A simple example, when a housewife converts an atta into a chapati, it's a typical input to output process. The input is atta, the process is with a belan, you change a form, and the output is a chapati. Now, what is atta? Atta here, my dear friends, is material. What is a product? Product is chapati. Material is atta. Now, this is, in simple words, is nothing but a primary example, a trivial example of a direct material cost. And the rest all is conversion. Now, when we talk about this concept, apply it into business practice. Let us take case of the products that are manufactured by a auto manufacturing company. May it be a two-wheeler, may it be a four-wheeler. What we do, the metal sheets with aid of machines are converted to form chassis, to form bonnets, to form body. And what you get with other bought out items like accessories or tapes or ACs that we see in the car, you add both the together and what you finally get is a car. Now, every piece of items either manufactured within your company or bought out and fitted directly into a product are collectively called as direct material items. And the cost of these items obviously becomes direct material cost. Now, here what happens is the items which you use in converting raw material into finished product ultimately form part of a final product that you produce. And these products or these items which are forming part of the final product are clubbed together to determine direct material cost. Examples? Depends from product to product. It differs also from product to product. In a formulation industry where medicines are produced or a tablet is produced, what is the raw material? Raw material is bulk drug. And the final product that we get is a tablet. Now, here bulk drug is a raw material cost, which is direct material. But for a bulk drug manufacturing company, bulk drug itself is a final product. And what happens to the material which is used by them to produce bulk material? That is their direct material cost. So please understand this chain. What is direct material cost to one industry may be a cost of a bought out equipment for the other industry, maybe for an ultimate consumer it's a cost of the total product. And therefore understanding of this direct material cost is very, very crucial. In what way? Let us see. In the example which you saw of a furniture manufacturing unit, where you must have seen a big wooden log getting converted into a door. What has happened? Whatever you see as a final product in terms of a door, or maybe for example a chair or a sofa set or any other furniture item, you convert the form of that material into something different. Now this basic item which we use proportionates very high to the total cost of the item itself. If you, let us say, try to get a price of a chair in the market, you may get a chair for 650 rupees, a folding chair, simple folding chair. This, the wrought iron which is used in manufacturing of that chair may form part of, let's say, 80% of the total cost of the chair. Therefore, the proportion being higher, we must be able to understand and clearly segregate the direct material cost to be able to plan for it properly, to be able to control it if it is going beyond your control, and very important is to result into value addition by reducing the material cost, because any small reduction in percentage terms in your direct material cost could result into a big saving so far as your final cost of product is concerned. And selling price being given by the market will enable you to increase your profit. Now this material cost in a product manufacturing company could be a little different than in a project manufacturing company. In project manufacturing, what happens? You produce something or you supply something as per the customer's request. The customer may need a product for his own application. Therefore, right from drawing stage to the stage of converting it into a final equipment, you may have to undergo a process of determining the material cost. But friends, here the process is reverse. You have to quote the price first to win a contract, and then actually you come to know about the material cost, because you spend after you sell, and it's not like a product manufacturing company. So here, in order to make sure that you incur the cost just what is needed, you must be able to forecast this material cost properly. And in order to do that, understanding of material cost is very important. Now, why the word direct is associated with it? The reason is simple. You should be able to directly associate or attribute cost of that material to the final product. And therefore, combinedly we call it as a direct material cost.
The second sub-element of prime cost is direct wages. Let us hear more about it from Mr. Umesh Kulkarni.
In a manufacturing concern, the workers who are engaged in converting the raw material into the finished product are known as the direct labor, and any type of wages in the form of maybe remuneration, overtime, bonus, what it may be, would be termed as direct wages. In this example, in this factory we have seen that a carpenter, a kneader, a polisher, a painter would be termed as direct workers, and the salaries which are paid to them would be treated as the direct wages. However, in case of a manufacturing concern, the supervisors, even though not actually engaged in the production activity, would also be termed as the direct workers, because the supervision is as much important as the actual manufacturing work is.
The third sub-element of prime cost is direct expenses. Mr. Madhav Ganpule will explain to us more about this concept.
As all of us are aware, in any transaction there is an exchange. We part with some benefit and we gain some benefit. Cost refers to the benefit surrendered in a transaction for getting another benefit. We have also seen that there are three elements of cost: material, labor, and expenses. Each element is further classified into direct and indirect, applying the theoretical test of identification. the items of cost which can be identified with or which can be linked to, which are traceable to a particular item of cost unit or cost center or cost object, these are classified as direct. And where there is no such identification, the cost items are classified as indirect. Let us firstly focus on the item direct expenses, since you have already studied the items direct material and direct labor. The direct costs other than direct material and direct labor are classified as direct expenses. For example, a particular machine is hired for a particular purpose. For example, a crane is hired. You must have seen that a crane is hired for downloading the wooden logs purchased for a particular job. The higher charges for the crane, as the crane doesn't belong to the furniture manufacturer, the higher charges for such a crane will be classified as direct expenses. Centering material hired by a builder for the purposes of slab, that will also be classified as direct expenses, since it is specifically hired for a particular purpose. In a furniture factory, if a customer drops in and wants a particular type of antique piece of a chair designed for himself, the furniture factory owner gives the assignment to a particular designer. He spends time, prepares 3 or 4 designs, shows this to the customer. The customer approves one. Such a designer's cost, who is specifically invited to prepare a design for designing a chair so as to suit the customer's requirement, such charges will be classified as direct expenses only. Once such tools and fixtures are hired for a particular job, these become direct expenses. The special feature of direct expenses is the utility of these expenses ends where the product itself is manufactured and delivered to the customer. For example, coming back to this case, the chair designed for a particular customer. Now that design is of no use once that chair is manufactured accordingly and delivered to the customer. That design has zero value because some other customer may not require the same design again. Repairs and maintenance of such jigs and fixtures will also be classified as direct expenses. Royalties paid, excise duty paid on production, all these are also the examples of direct expenses. Such expenses are traceable to a particular product, and the second test, what I told you, you have to remember, is the utility of these expenses ends with the manufacture of that product itself.
Well, you have already understood these concepts with a lot of examples. As I have already told you, the aggregate of direct material, direct wages and direct expenses is called prime cost. Please see this chart. Direct material, direct wages and direct expenses, when added together, give us prime cost. After having learnt about prime cost, let us now learn about overheads. The aggregate of indirect material, indirect wages and indirect expenses is called overheads. Let us learn more about indirect material from Mr. Milind Date.
Indirect material cost now. Can I put it so simply, whatever is not direct is indirect. And whatever is direct is whatever forms part of the product. Is it that simple? I don't think so. The line of demarcation between these direct and indirect, my dear friends, is very, very thin and at times confusing. And that's why let us see if we can bring about certain clarity, at least in our thoughts, to make sure that we apply this particular concept with a little informed decision-making process. When you talk of material cost as the cost of all those items which form part of your final product, comes here again your story of furniture manufacturing company. the nails, the polish, the paint, the varnish, every item that you use to manufacture a door or a chair forms part of a direct product as such. But just because an item is forming part of the product directly, should we call it as a direct material cost? The answer is no. Why not? Because although it becomes a part of the product, the process of identifying with product is very difficult in case of certain items, especially those items which I cited just now. Take for example a case of nails. Now when we talk of nails in a shoe manufacturing company, the company which manufactures shoes for cricket bowlers, which you know have spikes, same nails are used. Now there, the proportion of the nails in the total cost of a shoe is much more than maybe the proportion of the nails that you use to manufacture a table or a cupboard. Now it is this thin line that distinguishes whether an item of material is to be called a direct or an indirect. In case of a shoe manufacturing company, the nails may be clubbed as a direct material cost, but the cost of the same nails in our furniture manufacturing company will have to be termed as an indirect material, although it forms part of a final product. The reason is, can you identify separately, okay, for this particular chair or for this particular cupboard or a door, how many nails have been used? To keep a record of that itself will be more costly than the cost of the nails itself. Now therefore, whatever is lesser costly should be clubbed as indirect material, because again the proportion in the total cost is lesser, but the work that is involved in identifying it with the final unit of the product is very, very tedious. And this can be cited with many, many examples. I quote you an example for a company which used to produce cosmetics and perfumery products in a company for whom I worked in Muscat. The turpentine which used to be involved in the process of manufacturing a perfume. Now here also we use turpentine in furniture, but again the proportion of the cost is different. So varnish or turpentine in the perfumery products is a direct item, whereas in furniture manufacturing company here it's an indirect material item. So indirect material cost, although it is not as high in proportion as the direct material, knowledge of it is very, very crucial. Because normally what happens, if it is identifiable with product, one will keep a control on it, one will keep a close eye on it. But because the indirect materials are items which are used in general, may be common for many items, they may lose track. The moment you start losing track, the cost will keep on increasing. And the cost increases, your profit reduces. And therefore, knowing indirect material cost also is as crucial as knowing your direct material cost. Examples? Quite a few. The cotton waste which you use, the oil or grease which you use to repair the machines, even the concrete which you use maybe to reinforce your piping inside the machines or alongside the machine. These are all examples of indirect material cost. But again, please remember one thing, whether an item is direct or indirect depends on the reference to the product in question. The reference changes, your context changes, and therefore your decision to classify whether as direct or indirect changes.
The second sub-element of overheads is indirect wages. Let us learn more about indirect wages from Mr. Umesh Kulkarni.
In any organization, there are some workers who are directly engaged in the production activity. But in addition to that, there are several others. Like there would be sweeper, cleaner, a gardener, a security man, who are not actually engaged in the production, but they are helping the production activity. The salaries, wages, etc., which are paid to them would be termed as indirect wages.
The third sub-element of overheads is indirect expenses. Let us learn more about indirect expenses from Mr. Madhav Ganpule.
Such indirect expenses include a number of items which cannot be linked to a particular unit of a finished product. For example, the rent paid for office used, salaries paid to office clerk. Is it possible to establish a link between salaries paid to office clerk and the number of units produced? Yeah, you will easily agree that it is not possible. But at the same time, you will also understand that the office clerk's salary is the cost necessarily incurred for the purposes of business and business only. One should primarily understand that production is one aspect of business. Production is one of the important functions of business. But production itself is not business. There can be organizational focus also. That is, carrying on the business is a separate and larger concept than simply manufacturing a few units. And such expenses which are incurred for carrying on the business but which are not directly linked to production obtained, such expenses are classified as indirect expenses. There can be a number of examples of indirect expenses. For example, say telephone bills. There is no connection between telephone cost incurred and production obtained. Electricity charges, again there is no such connection. Maintenance of building, there is no such connection. Depreciation on plant and machinery, there is no such connection between cost incurred and production obtained. Printing and stationery, there is no connection between cost incurred and production obtained. All these are the examples of indirect expenses only. And as I said, these can be incurred at the workshop, these can be incurred at the place where from administration activity is going on, or these can be incurred at a place where selling activity is going on.
Well, you have already understood these concepts with a lot of examples. As I have already told you, the aggregate of indirect material, indirect wages, and indirect expenses is called overheads. Let us see this modified chart. Indirect material, indirect wages, and indirect expenses together are called overheads. A cost accountant never tires of classifying cost into its minute details. On the basis of the functions performed in a manufacturing firm, overheads are further classified into factory overheads, office and administration overheads, and selling and distribution overheads. Let us learn more about factory overheads from Mr. Milind Date.
Now let's see what comprises of the factory overheads as such. We must have seen a lot of expenses being incurred other than material. There are quite a few examples. The salary which we pay to our technical director, salary which we pay to the inspectors who keep on inspecting on an assembly line whether the product is getting produced as per the design standard or not. We pay the subcontractors, we pay the laborers. All these, although forms part of labor, they are not actually identifiable with one single unit of cost, and therefore they form part of factory overheads. I'll give you a typical example from an industry which is a project management industry. It's Praj Industries where currently I am working. We have a big drawing office employing about, let's say, 40 people, and their job is to churn out drawings as per the customer's specifications. Now the draftsman's salary or the cost of making one drawing is, although related directly to the product, but there are items which are standardized which can be used in any project. So cost of making those drawings will have to be termed as an indirect expense. so far as that project is concerned. Again, here the reference to the context is the cost unit or a project or a service which you render. In the example which you saw in case of a furniture manufacturing unit, what did you see? We saw some payments being made to some laborers. Some payments were being made for crane hire charges, for example. Now these are again examples of factory overheads. So power fuel, repairs to plant and machinery, depreciation on the machinery, which is caused due to, of course, wear and tear, that is the use of the machinery. These are primarily the examples of factory overheads.
Mr. Umesh Kulkarni will tell us more about office and administration overheads.
Office is a place where all type of data recording takes place, whereas administration is for policy making, controlling and decision making. All the expenses which are incurred for the office and administrative departments are termed as office and administration expenses. The expenses can again be in the form of indirect material, indirect wages or indirect expenses. Indirect material could be the office stationery or computer stationery which is used in the office and administrative departments. Indirect wages could be the salaries paid to the peons, accountants, stenographers, secretaries, etc. In case of indirect expenses which are coming under the office and administration, the examples like rent, electricity, telephone bills, municipal taxes, the fees which are paid to directors, the legal expenses which are paid could be classified under the indirect expenses.
Mr. Madhav Ganpule will explain the concept of selling and distribution overheads.
Selling refers to making the goods available to the customer by reaching him through advertisement, publicity, mass communication, SMS, websites, etc. On the other hand, distribution refers to making the goods available to the customer at his doorstep for the purposes of consumption. That includes transport, appointment of sellers and distributors network so as to ensure that the goods reach the final consumer. Selling refers to the transfer of ownership. On the other hand, distribution refers to the transfer of possession from manufacturer or seller to the final consumer. The word selling is now interpreted in an expanded manner to include the efforts taken to identify the customer and converting a potential customer into actual customer also. So this includes pre-manufacturing efforts like market survey as well. All these expenses incurred are classified as selling and distribution expenses. These are the costs incurred for obtaining and retaining a customer. These are also called as promotional expenses. These are also called as competitive expenses, as these are the expenses incurred for converting finished goods to debtors and debtors to cash in terms of realized profit as well. The examples of selling and distribution expenses are many. These can be in the nature of indirect material, indirect labor, as well as indirect expenses as well. For example, say printing of banners, printing of hoardings. These can be indirect material items incurred for selling and distribution purposes. The wages of drivers, cleaners for carrying the delivery vans, the depreciation on delivery van, advertisement, publicity, debt collection charges, branch expenses, showroom expenses, the cost of emails, the cost of maintaining the sales depot, the cost of maintaining interactive website with the customer. All these are the examples of selling and distribution expenses.
Now look at this chart which summarizes all the elements and sub-elements that you have learnt so far. As you observe, overheads are classified into factory overheads, office and administration overheads, selling and distribution overheads. Here ends the second part of the series. In this part, we have learnt about the elements and sub-elements of cost. In the next part, we will learn about the cost sheet.